following is a presentation of Team Glory Sports.
It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM, and welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Live from the Sports Center at 97.5 Glory FM, WGTJ. I'm Mike Wofford. Every Saturday morning, we bring you the latest in local high school, college, and pro sports coverage. This morning, we'll have a live special guest coming in this morning. They'll be joining me at about 9:30 this morning to discuss local sports. Join us in. Hey, you can always go to our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports to see us work behind the scenes here at the Sports Center at your family radio station. Your home for North Georgia sports, 97.5 Glory FM. We'll start things off with a high school football scoreboard from last night. You heard right here on 97.5 Glory FM. It was a Region 8 AAA matchup between Cherokee Bluff and West Hall, with the Bears remaining undefeated, now 6-0 this season, as they defeat West Hall by a final of 41-14. Also in that same region, it was Oconee County over East Hall by a final of 56-7. It was Jefferson down in Monroe area 38-14 last night. All the teams in Region 6 AAA had the evening off except for two teams. It was Dawson County playing host to Johnson last night, and it was all Dawson County's Tigers win by a final score of 71-0 last night. In Region 8 Quad A play last night, Flowery Branch had the evening off. It was East Forsyth, though, with a 37-21 victory over the Cedar Shoals Jaguars from last night. North Oconee was a winner over Madison County in that region from last night. In Region 8 Quint A play, it was Habersham Central falling to Clark Central by a final of 42-28. Also, it was Wandabara over Loganville, 34-31. It was Jackson County defeating Appalachia in the Wildcats' first game at home since the shooting back on September the 4th, as it was Jackson County winning last night by a final of 25-6. Other games around the area last night, it was a huge second half for Beaufort, as Coach Brian Appling's team fell behind 7-3 to undefeated Collins Hill at halftime. But it was all Wolves in the second half. Beaufort scored 31 unanswered points, and they go on to defeat Collins Hill by a final of 37 to, back at more time, Mike, it was 34-7 was the final score in that game. At City Park Stadium, Bobby Groom Field, it was Gainesville shutting out Seconder 41-0, as Kareem Hoogley, he connected on 5 touchdown passes last night, and a big second quarter for Big Red, as it was scoreless during the first quarter, but then 27 unanswered points for Gainesville in the second quarter. You're going to get a chance to hear from Coach Josh Niblett just a few moments here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.5 Glory FM. And also around the area, it was in Forsyth County. West Forsyth was a winner over Forsyth Central from last night. Denmark, they surprised North Forsyth 19-14. It was also Alpharetta defeating South Forsyth in that region in Forsyth County. And also around the area, it was Union County falling to Ringgold from last night. In Region 8 AA play, East Jackson gets a big 30-21 win over Franklin County, the two private schools which would dominate that region. Prince Avenue Christian with a big score over Stevens County, and also it was Hebron Christian, a winner over Hart County from last night in high school football action from around the area. Coming up next, I have a special guest on the phone. We'll be talking with Coach Josh Niblett, the head coach of the Gainesville High Red Elephants, after their 41-0 win last night over Seconder. It comes up next here on 97.5 Glory FM.
Street Cafe.
Mary, did you know Longstreet Cafe supports great programs like FCA? Northeast Georgia FCA is working to see the world transformed by Jesus Christ through the influence of coaches and athletes.
And they do a great job of making their mission work through the E3 strategy of making disciples who make disciples. I remember that from my days in school.
Yeah, FCA has been around a while.
Hey now! Find out more at ghcfca.org.
Hey, Josh. Got time for something?
If you need to communicate to a lot of people, you need Gainesville Signs and Graphics. They are a full-service sign company. From consultation through construction, they'll handle all aspects of your sign needs. Political signs, banners, magnetics, monuments, subdivision and street signs, as well as vehicle and storefront graphics. So trust your sign needs to Gainesville Signs and Graphics. Check out their website at GainesvilleSignsandGraphics.com or call 770-533-5700.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, we go to the phones and talk with Coach Josh Niblett, the head coach of the Gainesville High Red Elephants. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm blessed, brother. How about you?
I'm blessed, man. To God be the glory. Thank you.
You on the road to see a college football game today?
I am. I'm on the road to see Sky play shorter, so we're headed to Rome, and me, my mom, dad, my wife, Karen. So we're headed to watch them play Valdosta, who's ranked number 3 in the country right now. So.
Wow, how about that? So if you would talk for a moment about this, because it's been a situation with Hurricane Helene about Valdosta State. They've been staying in dorms there at Georgia State, been practicing at Georgia Tech this week.
Yeah, well, and the week before, Sky and them were supposed to play at North Greenville, and, they couldn't get buses in and out. And, I know Furman, because Gavin Hall plays at Furman, I know their game got canceled last week. And so then in Valdosta, of course, they didn't have any power. And so I think they had to leave campus and come up and, stay in Atlanta in order to get this game in. So, I mean, it's not the best situation for anybody, but, trying to get back to a little bit of normalcy to let these kids play ball, I think is awesome, for the kids, for sure.
Tell everybody too, Coach, there about really the importance of high school and college football when it comes to everyday life, to show them you say you got to get back to living life, don't you?
Well, you do, but I mean, there's more important things than just football.
Oh, absolutely.
But when you're dealing with young kids and athletes, when that's kind of always their escape. Either they're dealing with something in life at home, or maybe going through some adverse situations. I mean, their getaway is to get to play sports. And so when you can allow them an opportunity, and it's not to say that nothing else is more important, because everything is more important. But when you do have an opportunity to try to get back to, allowing them to be able to play, I think everybody, wants that. But nobody's going to try to do it too early, and hopefully nobody tries to do it too late.
Well, the same thing last night. Gainesville playing host the second year at City Park Stadium, Bobby Groom Field. And, of course, one of our best friends is Tony Lottie. And when you get chances to show people his witness of what he's gone through in his life, it's a lot more than just going out there on Friday night, and you see what you can use football for in the entire life experience.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And Tony's an unbelievable guy, has an unbelievable story. He's lived and the thing about it is just, watching his true testimony of the man that he is and what he stands for. And, it's kind of pretty awesome to watch. But, and the thing about it is you watch Appalachia last night had their first home game. And I know it didn't end like they wanted it to, but to get back to, those kids being able to play at home and, all the support there from different people. And, I think that's what makes our country so great, is how when things happen, and whether it's a catastrophe or pandemic or, whatever it may be, how our country, the people within our country rally together to try to help each other out. That's what it's all about.
Last night, you and I were talking on Game Plan, our pregame show, about last night's ball game, and you knew what kind of team that Coach Lottie would bring out there. So that first quarter, you started wondering, how it was going to be. If it was like the Milton game, then all of a sudden you broke loose in the second quarter.
Yeah, well, I knew, early on, the whole deal is trying to figure out whether you want to take the ball or you want to defer. So, and I felt good about us. But, we had a couple of small things. We had a tip ball where we couldn't get it out. And, we had a misfire as far as the first throw of the game, where I felt like if we try to connect on it, we've got a big play. And so first couple of series we went 3 and out, and then they broke a couple of runs on us, and then, chewed the clock up. And, we had 2 series, and I think we had 6 plays to there. I don't know how many they had in the first quarter, and all of a sudden it's over with. And so, but I was proud of our kids. Third series, we put a drive together, go down and score, and then we have 3 one-play drives in a row to make the score 27 within, I don't know how many minutes it took, but defense played well. I mean, it's an unconventional offense to see at this juncture of where football is at. But I was proud of our guys and proud of our guys making plays. And then, our special teams. I mean, we blocked their field goal, and I think that's what got everything going in the second quarter.
It's interesting, too, how quickly you could strike. And Kareem had 5 touchdown passes last night, a career high for him. And then you see how quickly that game can go by. Y'all got by. We were just starting the fourth quarter of our game last night when we were down in Oakwood. And it's like, when you see that offense that they run there and where your defense is, you got through in a hurry last night. Now you can start concentrating on this next ball game.
Yeah, well, we're enjoying that one for a little while. I mean, it's it was a tough week because people don't realize. I mean, our kids know who we're playing this coming week, and so. I mean, you could choose to not lock in, but I told our kids all week, I'm like, I know all you guys, the elephant in the room is you know who you play next week, but that game ain't going to mean anything. We don't win this one. And so we respected the fact of where second year is and what they've been able to do and their, early existence of the school. I mean, they've only been a school for 3 years, and Coach Lottie and them has done a great job. They started the year off, I think, 4-0. And so, and the thing about it is they'll have an opportunity. I mean, it's, they've still got Lanier on the schedule, and they still got Chattahoochee on the schedule, and they still got Johns Creek, I believe,
yes,
on the schedule. So, they've got an opportunity to win out and give themselves an opportunity to go to the playoffs. It'll be the first time in school history.
Yep, that could be that number 4 team. And, of course, now with Gainesville fighting there with Milton this upcoming Friday night, we'll talk more about that next week. Enjoy your day over in Rome and Sail Sky High. And we'll say go Hawks, okay?
Mike, I appreciate you, brother. God bless you, and go Big Red. Thank you.
Thanks much. Have a safe trip. We'll talk to you next week here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show with Coach Josh Niblett, the head coach of the Gainesville High Red Elephants. Hope his family's going to have a great time today watching his son play for the Shorter Hawks against Valdosta State. We got much more for you coming up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. We'll talk with Harper LaBelle about Atlanta Falcons football. More coming up next.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family-owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
If you need to communicate to a lot of people, you need Gainesville Signs and Graphics. They are a full-service sign company. From consultation through construction, they'll handle all aspects of your sign needs. Political signs, banners, magnetics, monuments, subdivision and street signs, as well as vehicle and storefront graphics. So trust your sign needs to Gainesville Signs and Graphics. Check out their website at GainesvilleSignsandGraphics.com or call 770-533-5700.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Bushton, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings, and one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/blackandblue.
Hey, it's Coach Mark Richt here. Everyone knows defense wins championships. And if you're not using EMC Security to defend your home and family, you need to step up your game. They're who I use for home security and cameras, and you should too. I've scouted them all, and there's no better choice. With EMC Security's no contract and local service, they are a clear number one. So give them a call or visit them online at emcsecurity.com. That's emcsecurity.com.
And we're back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. Time to talk to the number one Dodger fan around the area, Harper LaBelle, joining us. He's on the road again this morning. Hey, Harper, where you at this morning, brother?
Well, I'm in Marietta off Aviation Drive here in beautiful Marietta, enjoying a little fall baseball with my son.
So it never stops, does it?
Not anymore. You used to get a break, or, I know when I was in high school, you go from football straight to basketball, straight to baseball. I did a little track also. I threw the shot, but Everything's more specific now, really is. But you know, I like the well-roundedness of doing several different things. But as serious as baseball is here, especially in North Georgia and East Cobb, Gainesville has great baseball. Gwinnett County does. It's all over the place.
So I asked Harper last night on our broadcast, you know, what you going to do this weekend, because Georgia State has the weekend off now with the Falcons playing Thursday. They have the weekend off, so it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and the Falcons had an early game, so you probably were expecting me to say, well, I'm going to mow my lawn, you know, or I'm going to catch up on that refurbishing my deck or something. But no, in reality, it's early morning. I got up at 6 and had to drive out here to Marietta.
So hey, Dad, let's go to a game. You know, yes, son,
yeah.
We'll be glad to. It's good. You know.
Yep. That's what you got to do.
All right, so last night we saw a really interesting high school football game. We saw Cherokee Bluff defeat West Hall, but boy, I tell you, back on Thursday night, I was even this whole week, I was concerned about being a short week for the Falcons, playing on Sunday the way they did, and then Thursday night, and they're been on TV now on prime time, national television, 3 times of the first 5 ball games, and now they're starting to show some people some things about this team, aren't they?
Yeah, you get a come from behind victory against Philadelphia. They're in Philly, upsetting a lot of the locals there. They didn't expect to lose to Atlanta. Then you have a really tight 1-score game against Kansas City, the Super Bowl champions, and then another close come from behind against Tampa. I'm very impressed. I think the rest of the country is seeing that the Falcons and the hype around it is starting to be genuine. It's real, and the team is performing pretty well. 3-2 isn't a bad place to be after 5.
No, especially in first place in the division from that standpoint. And you saw, I think, a great matchup on Thursday night. If you say it from one standpoint, Baker Mayfield, who's resurrected his career playing for Tampa Bay now, his 3rd team in the NFL, and then you got Kirk Cousins, who's played for, I forgot how many teams he's played for, but boy, it's okay. That Achilles tendon looked pretty healthy, didn't it?
Yeah, compared to Tampa's kind of beat up. So you take the win regardless of whether or not they only had 12 guys on the roster that were healthy enough to play. But a win's a win. I know one of the critics, well, not a critic, but a critique of the Falcons was, this game here against Tampa, they need to start implementing a lot more of their offense and do some other things. And you're on a short week, guy. You don't have a whole lot of time to add anything yet. You just do what you do well, and they did it well. I think Kurt, one of the stats that Dave Archer said while I was listening on the radio is that there are 3 quarterbacks in the league that are absolutely fantastic when you rush and blitz. One is named Patrick Mahomes, the other is Josh Allen, and the third of which is Kirk Cousins. When you blitz him, he gets the ball to the open receiver. He has scored the 3rd most amount of touchdowns when you want to blitz him. Wow. And we saw a lot of blitzing last night, but on Thursday, the Falcons took a little bit of that. It took a couple of seconds for the offensive line and for the backs to pick up the right guy, but Kurt was able to look down the field and have time to throw, get some big completions, move the ball down the field, and obviously a 500-yard night is I hope it's not once in a lifetime, but it's certainly something that it doesn't happen a lot. And I think the Falcons, Kurt, and obviously all the fans are happy that that's the way it ended up last night or on Thursday.
Oh, sure. Well, the big thing is that you and I, our main concern about Kirk Cousins was could he stay healthy because of the offensive line, and they played about as well as they could play.
I agree. I think the amount of time that they gave him, especially in the second half, to kind of sort through and get the ball to another receiver. Now, granted, he was under pressure. He got sacked 4 times, so it wasn't perfect. But
right.
I think there were some gains to be made in terms of the offensive line improvement, and we saw that. And that, obviously, Mike, in my opinion, I think you've known me long enough to realize that to me, is one of your cornerstones. If you can protect your quarterback, I don't care who it is. Mike, if you were standing back there, you're going to complete a lot more passes if you have time to do so.
But 58 attempts, that's also amazing.
Well, that's what the times call for. I mean, if we ran the ball, we didn't even get 100 yards. If I'm not mistaken, it was a little over 70.
Yes, it was.
So they figured out, at least Tampa did, we're going to stop this Bijan and Algier tandem and do the best we can. Vita Vea is such an important part of what they do. and he had been out for a couple weeks, so you can't run in between the guards when that man's in there. He's 350 pounds, big, strong dude, still young enough to where he cares and he gets around. So you got to do other things. But the line, getting back to the point, yes, absolutely, much better job. And you're starting to see that cohesiveness that last year people were saying, hey, the Falcons have a pretty good offensive line. You know, these different agencies that rate that kind of stuff. And you saw it certainly on Thursday, and hopefully that's an indicator for the rest of the year.
You got to look at it, too. Also, we go on the road this upcoming Sunday to Charlotte to take on Carolina. Win that game, you're undefeated the first round through the division.
You know, I think it's interesting, Mike, where, you know, a lot of the folks that watch the game closely say division win is like a game and a half. It means more because it's one of the first tiebreakers. And so I agree with you. We had a rough go in the rain last year. Don't remember if it was a Thursday night game. I think it might have been. Falcons couldn't run. They couldn't pass. They did give the ball up a lot. You know, they were very successful at turnovers. But hopefully you get a different result this time. Against a improved, you know, you took Bryce Young out.
Yep.
And now you've got a lineup that just because you made a change, the guys are starting to believe a little bit more. They're a lot closer in games than they were last year at this time. So I'm going to be saying, you know, good luck, Falcons. You're going to have to play really hard in order to get a win on the road in Carolina.
Two veteran quarterbacks now. They've got Andy Dalton for Carolina there. And also, you and I were talking about the difference in the Falcons in the fourth quarter. That means a lot for this team right now.
You got to play. You know what I liked about the win is everybody joined Kaderil Hodge in the end zone. You got a bunch of highly paid athletes that in some cases it almost looks like they are going out of their way not to be enthusiastic. And that was such a genuine expression of joy and appreciation and love and all the good things for winning. And that can carry over. It really can. Not a lot of people expect the Falcons to do much, but if the guys in that locker room do, boy, what a difference that can make. And you carry that over from one week to the next. That's what it's all about.
Well, you see the difference between expectations. The fans have their expectations, coaches have their expectations, ownership has their expectations, and of course, as players, that's what it comes down to, their expectations, what they can do and what they can't do.
I know, and the funny thing is that this other team doesn't want them to be successful, right? It doesn't matter who your opponent is; they want to win too. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the great majority of it is, you know, can we keep the ball moving? Can we keep the sticks going? Can we get the ball in the end zone? How are we in the red zone? And when that starts to work, and then the offense plays well, guess what? The defense is going to start playing a little bit better. And it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot, Mike, but it's not completely fragile, but it can be at times. When it works and it's successful, it gets everybody involved. You mentioned the ownership, you mentioned the fans, you mentioned coaches. You know, those are if they're involved with it and they help you play better, it's just a circle of success that is magical when it works.
All right, so you son up to the plate yet? You got a hit yet?
He walked.
All right, get on base.
Yeah.
All right, so be Vin Scully for me now. He's a Dodger fan, so Dodgers and Padres. What do you think?
Well, you start with, it's time for Dodger baseball here on a glorious evening from Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles, California. He was so good at painting pictures and telling what I learned over years to be viable stories. When I was younger, I'd say, tell me what the count is, Vin. I want to know who's up to the plate. And then by the time I got older, I go, will you please tell me that Johnny Roseboro and Sandy Koufax story one more time? I don't care who's at the plate. We'll find out later, but I want to hear this very original and unique story and the history of the game, which was so important to him and so many others like him. That's a magical thing.
So I'm hearing now Ohtani, again, with another hit for the Dodgers from that standpoint. We'll see from the Rays fans who you want to win, the team that beat you or the team that has been a perennial power so long with the Dodgers there. And it'll be the Dodgers and Padres and the Mets and Phillies. Should be a good time with the National League. And, of course, the Braves as beat they were. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Hey, buddy, enjoy your week. Yeah, go ahead.
I can't imagine any of the Braves fans rooting for either the Phillies or the Mets. Can you?
No, I cannot.
And then they hate the Dodgers. So if by just default they root for the Padres, I get it. But it's going to be an interesting October and hopefully a good one for my side in the blue.
Hey, if you want to cheer for anybody, cheer for the Royals. You know, the tournament they got the Guardians, and then you got the Yankees from that standpoint. So,
well, would you have said I'm rooting for Detroit at any time this year, and anybody looking at you without having a goofy look on their face, going, "What did you say Detroit?" You know.
And again, we got a local guy, playing for the Tigers also with Reese Olson. So we'll see what they can do with the Motown Kitties from that standpoint. Hey, buddy, have a great day. We'll talk next time. Okay, see you Friday.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great rest of your day and wonderful weekend.
Appreciate it very much. He's the best there is when it comes to calling. Comes to baseball there at Marietta, and also with the Atlanta Falcons, our coverage of the Birds. We got much more for you coming up next. Our guest is in the house. You'll see him on YouTube here. Lee Coleman, the head coach of the Lakeview Academy Lions, is in the house. We'll talk to him coming up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
Siphon Logistics' commitment is to provide you, the customer, with on-time pickup and delivery every time. Members of the Siphon family have been in the transportation business since 1984. The Siphon Logistics transportation professionals are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing maximum flexibility and options to produce the most successful shipping arrangements. Call Siphon Logistics at 770-287-8485 and take a look at their website at siphonlogistics.com.
Hey, it's Coach Mark Richt here. Everyone knows defense wins championships. And if you're not using EMC Security to defend your home and family, you need to step up your game. They're who I use for home security and cameras, and you should too. I've scouted them all, and there's no better choice. With EMC Security's no contract and local service, they are a clear number one. So give them a call or visit them online at emcsecurity.com. That's emcsecurity.com.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
And we're back with the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM, your radio station for North Georgia sports. We have a special guest live in our studio this morning to talk about local sports. Lee Coleman, the head coach of the Lakeview Academy Lions, joining us. Hey, Lee.
How you doing, sir?
I'm blessed. How about you?
Doing well. Had a tough one last night, but I'm still doing well.
Yeah, late night last night as the Lions fell to Bethlehem Christian on the road, 17-0, but much of a ball game was last year, wasn't it?
Oh, much of a ball game. We played well. We played hard. We just gave up big plays. Didn't get off the field on third downs and just gave up big plays at the end of both halves.
Well, I think people find out, too, when you talk about Giza football, the GIAA, it's a different brand of football, but it's still a really exciting brand of football, too, isn't it?
Oh, correct. Bethlehem Christian is a physical football team. They play physical. Football is football, and those guys, I tip my hat off to them. They play well.
For everybody who doesn't know about Lee Coleman, he is a local guy, played high school football at East Hall, played in the Big Ten there in college football, then back here, and it's great to have him back home here in his second year as head coach at Lakeview Academy. He's really turned around his program, best start ever in school history, going into last night's ball game, and that was really for the number one spot there in the district. Explain to everybody about the GIAA and how they set things up when it comes to their regions and districts.
So the districts is kind of, it's interesting how we are, because it's 3A and 4A combined together in your districts. But then when you go to the playoffs, you go to whatever classification that you are. So right now we're 3A, but we're playing in the 4A district. So the teams we're playing with, the Bethlehem Christians, the George Waltons, of those natures, we won't see them in the playoffs. We'll go down to the AAA sector. However, the AAA sector has been really good from top heavy, really. So competing against 4A, especially Bethlehem, that's preparing us for when we do make the playoffs. Fortunately, if we continue to do what we're doing and rectify this wrong and get back to the win column, going to the playoffs, we'll be prepared for teams, the top-heavy teams in 3A.
All right, so of the 8 teams in your district right now, how many of those would be in your classification in AAA?
It's only one. So
really?
Piedmont Academy is the only team that's a 3A team. Everybody else that we play is 4A in our region.
How about that? That just tells you how good a season you have had going undefeated until last night with Bethlehem Christian. That's impressively.
Yes, sir. Our guys been playing hard, man. And even last night, 3 minutes left to go in the half. It's 0-0 ball game. We gave up a big play. They end up going to score. Then there was a minute and something left to go in the half. We muffed the kickoff, and we held them to a field goal. They kick a field goal. We go down 10-0. So it was one of those type things that we got to finish out halves.
You and I talked about on our pregame show yesterday on Game Plan about how resilient this team has been so far this season.
Yes, and even last night it was one of those moments of, we gave up a big play, then we turned the ball over, but we were resilient to stop them to 3, especially a high-power offense like them. We have to do a better job also of scoring the football. We had plenty of opportunities. We had some guys running free. Just got to get a little more time in the protection, but we just got to execute better to give ourselves a chance. We had a critical. We got a big turnover in the first quarter, and it was our chance to go score, and then we shot ourselves in the foot. We got a false start. We did this, and we end up missing the field goal. But defensively, we still played well. Just big plays that killed us.
If I can say something about your team, you're probably the best team that nobody knows about from that standpoint because, the Geese does not get that much publicity. We try to do our best here on our station to let everybody know, your local team and what you're doing here at Lakeview Academy. And it's like, okay, tell everybody about the players you got on your team. But they'll say, you don't have that many players on your team, but you got enough to get wins.
Yes, I only have 23 guys. But out of those 23 guys, man, those guys play well. We got guys that can compete. And so, fortunately, me being local, I've played in the local high school football. Like you said, I went to East Hall, so I played against a lot of this talent. I see a lot of talent still in Hall County. My guys are just as talented. I look at it from the standpoint, I lost 3 guys last year, 3 starters. One went to West Hall, one went to North Hall, one went to Gainesville. The kicker is starting at Gainesville. The corner is starting at West Hall. The safety is starting at North Hall. So it lets me know my kids can leave here and go compete at those places as well because the kids left being there starting. Mm-hmm. So we're building the brand, and we have the kids that can go compete at that level. It's just we got low numbers at the moment.
Well, and we've talked before, the way the economy is, that's one thing that determines a lot of times if someone can afford to go to Lakeview Academy, even with scholarships there, and know they can get their education. Because we're talking about true student athletes there at Lakeview.
True student athletes, like you said, one of the hardest parts is not only with the economy financially, it's academically. You have to do your work. It's not a, hey, guys, you come over here, education. No, the education is really tough. It's extremely tough. Like you said, I went to the Big Ten, went to Northwestern, so I knew how tough it was when I got to Northwestern academically, and then when I look at Lakeview, it is extremely similar. You have to do your work. You got to write papers. Coach, I had homework for 3 hours. Well, I'm sorry, but you got to get it done. We got practice, and you still got to manage your time. So we got unique and special kids at Lakeview Academy.
And they got to be,
Yes, sir.
Like at Northwestern, what was it? It's called the Ivy League of the team of the Big Ten Conference?
It is the Ivy League of the Big Ten Conference. It is truly Ivy League.
So talk about that just for a moment, about experience playing in that part of the country in that conference back in the day.
Ooh, at that time, my freshman and sophomore year, we played against Ohio State, and they went to the national championship back-to-back. So it lets you know the type of caliber teams we were playing. Michigan was one of those teams, Penn State, Indiana, Iowa, guys that went to the league. I remember Tracy Porter for Indiana my freshman year. Funny story. I watched him play, and I was like, this guy's special. Next thing you know, a few years pass, he catches the interception against Peyton Manning to seal the Super Bowl for the New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
So I got to see that type of talent. And it was different because I'm like, yeah, I'm an SEC guy. Watch the SEC, ACC, Big Ten. It's not talent like that until you get there, and it humbles you. Like, okay, these guys are actually really good football players.
Well, you found out real quick too how physical they are because bless your heart, you stayed injured a lot of time. You were up there, weren't you?
Man, the whole time I was there, I hate to be this way, but I probably missed more time on the sideline due to injury than I did participate in practice and stuff. So it was one of those things. It was tough at the moment because I never was injured in high school. Played 3 sports, never missed a game, never missed a practice to go into being injured my whole career. But I learned a lot. It taught me a lot. It taught me how to handle when I have injuries and adversity with my kids, to talk to them in a positive manner to where I know how you feeling.
Isn't that one of the big things about adversity and life in general?
Yes, it taught me so much about life. I carry it over now to my coaching style. I learned a lot from that challenge in college. I learned when I got to the college sector in coaching and just how I wanted to be as a coach, what I didn't want to do and how I wanted to be.
So when you have 23 players on your team, tell me about your coaching staff also, because you really divide your time up in a big way.
Oh, my coaching staff is phenomenal. Those guys do a great job. My defensive coordinator and Stacy Young, my linebackers coach, special teams coordinator, and John Kaminsky, my offensive line coach. He does a great job. And Frank Jorge, my offensive coordinator, and Casey Randolph, and then my DB coach, Jeremy Stringer. Those guys have been around a lot of football. Funny, me, Frank, and Jeremy, we all played for Tim Marchman. They played for him at West Hall. I played for him at East Hall. Then Casey, John, and Stacy, they all worked at Gainesville for Bruce Miller. And Casey Randolph also worked with Coach Shaw. And those guys came from Coach Shaw as well. So they've been around football. So when I got in here at this staff, I got a phenomenal staff. So with 23 players trying to divide, practice is a little unique. But the way we do it, it's been efficient for us, and we get to develop kids, both sides of the ball, to learn a game, and we're developing kids, and they all get reps.
Well, you're blessed to have that many coaches, that many players, because you get more individual attention, can't you?
Yes. So we get to get all the individual attention that we need, and that's one of the things I'm huge on. I love scheme. I love to scheme up stuff, but right now it's like, let's develop kids. Let's develop football players. I don't want to create robots. I want to build football players. In the scheme, we can talk about that, but once we get functional football players, then we'll bring in a scheme.
So we mentioned earlier when you're playing in the Big Ten about how physical it is. How about the physicality of the GIAA and getting your guys ready for this kind of play?
Oh, playing George Walton last night, going to Bethlehem Christian, you have to be physical. And that's one thing I tip my hat off to my guys. I have to give them credit. Last night they fought. It was a game, and they were physical. We were physical. We matched the intensity. Last night, leaving the field, Bethlehem Christian knew, oh, my gosh, Lakeview is different. They are a good football team. Like I said, 3 big plays, 2 touchdowns. And we got to eliminate the big plays. I mean, it's 0-0 ball game. We stacked. We're stalemating each other because of the physicality. I mean, we were hitting, creating turnovers both sides. It was a physical game. GIAA got some heavy hitters in good football.
So tell me about the weight program there at Lakeview, because you think about private school, academic school, is okay, these guys even have time to get into the weight room.
Oh, man, this offseason was terrific. My strength coach, Christian Romero, we got in in January. We started in January. We started the off-season program Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and we got up in the morning, 7 a.m. This is what we have to do to be successful. And we also had a weight training class during the day. So it was one of those things that we took pride in, because like I told my guys, we got to match physicality. The one thing, to give ourselves a chance, we have to be able to compete man-to-man physicality, and our weight room program has been special.
You know, I remember when Lakeview started football, and Matthew Groom, the first coach there at the team, and trying to get interest in these guys playing football, and then the excitement of playing football and being winners and that kind of thing. Where is that right now at Lakeview?
Right now, it's been an all-time high. The guys that I've inherited and the guys that have came over. I mean, I'm playing with 9 freshmen. I have 23 guys and I have 9 freshmen. So we're still young.
Yes.
But then I have 7 seniors. So in that mix of leadership is one of the things that's helped us out a lot. The field of school is different. Football has been good. And so our guys walk around with confidence. It used to be, are you guys going to win? Are we going to lose tonight? All week long, everybody asks, are you guys going to win? Yes, we're winning this game. We're going to win. It was a different look in the eye this week, and I felt it last night.
Well, as you came in the building, you heard me talking to Harper O'Bell, our partner, talking about the Atlanta Falcons and expectations again. And that's so important for these young guys, isn't it?
Oh, correct. And like I told my guys, our goals are still intact. I mean, our goal was to win the region. It wasn't never to go undefeated. Unfortunately, we fell short last night of that. However, George Walton can win. It could be a three-way tie still for the region and figure stuff out. So you never know how the ball would bounce. But I'm glad we allotted ourselves that opportunity. And now we still have bigger fish to fry. We just got to go clean up our mistakes, take care of business the rest of the way with 3 games left, and then it's playoff time. I never talked to my guys about state championship. But now when we get to the playoffs, it's the one game at a time mentality that we have an ultimate chance to do.
Well, you got 2 road games, 1 home game. Next week you're on the road down at Kings Academy, back at home in 2 weeks against Athens Christian. We're trying to work things out to be able to broadcast that game for our listeners there at the Academy, your last home game of the season. Then you finish on the road, and then on November 1st, the playoffs start.
So playoffs with the hurricane madness that happened.
Push it back?
It pushed it back.
Okay,
so
good.
Typically it was going to be if you were top 6 team, you get a first round bye. Well, playoffs is going to be the top 8 now. And so everybody will play on the 8th.
Okay.
And so playoffs will be on the 8th, and how that works is I'm still learning.
Power ranking?
Power rankings is something crazy. So the top 4 teams would get a home game, and the other 4 have to go on the road. So who knows where we'll be after this win.
I'm hoping home.
I'm hoping home. Hopefully we can squeeze in the top 4, but we were 6-0 and still sitting at number 5. So I'm not sure how that works. If we take care of business the next few weeks, as long as we stay in the top 8 with the GIA.
Well, I can see that in being in the top 4 in AAA, but when in this district, playing quality schools, I can see you being where you were. But now, it's like you'll be number 1 or 2, it seems like, in AAA.
I would think so. But one thing I learned about in the GIAA is something about South Georgia, Middle Georgia. If you're playing out there, they look at it as football is a little different.
All right, with that was different. I want to talk to Lee for a few moments here before we get ready to go to breakfast here in a few moments. Is that his dad works with the Lakeview Academy basketball team, been side by side with Benji Wood for years at all different schools he's coached at, but also he works at Siphon Logistics. You heard from Steve Siphon back on Thursday morning about the relief efforts there at Siphon and what they're doing to help out the people in South and East Central Georgia, all the way up to North Carolina. Talk to him about what your dad's told you about what they're doing at Siphon.
Just knowing Steve since I've known him since I've been in high school, and my dad has been working with Steve for a long time. The man has a heart of gold. And so when I see the relief efforts and my dad and them talking about it, it was one of those things instantly I knew that's the kind of person Steve is. To have those many trucks to go load in the community to come out and support to help those people, because realistically a lot of people don't know how bad it is out there.
Right.
I remember they were saying Valdelia was weeks without water. I mean, they didn't have water, no power, and they don't know when it'll come back on. So for Steve to be able to do that, I mean, he's always been that type of guy, give you the shirt off his back. And that community at Siphon has just been special.
Well, you can right now go starting next Monday, and he's going to continue as long as it happens. Because he told me Thursday the most they had ever done in the different hurricanes we've had going back to 2017 was 3 truckloads. When I talked to him Thursday, they're on their 14th, and they're continuing next week, and who knows how much they're going to get, because the donations, first off, of the community has been special, seeing how this community has helped out people. But we see, especially you're talking about the schools, the GIAA, there's a lot of schools in the Central Georgia area, and they've been affected really big time, haven't they?
Yes, they have. That's one of the reasons why they went ahead and said, all right, we're moving the playoffs back, because some teams didn't even get to play, like the number 1 team in GIAA for AAA is Valwood, and they missed the game in a big region game that they didn't get to play, so they moved it back so that they have a chance to play. So it got affected bad, and what I love about the community, even I saw a picture on Lakeview Academy was there helping out, volunteering, sending stuff over and working to help pack the stuff up. And so it's been a blessing to have Steve around in the Siphon Logistics and Lakeview to being able to partner with him, and all the other other folks that's been able to partner with them.
And you could help Siphon Logistics. You can go to their Turbo Truck Center at 2037 Old Candler Highway, just off of exit 20, off of Interstate 985 near the airport. Cannot miss it there. Your GPS will take you just right there to, he said, just put in Turbo Truck Center and you'll find it right there. And you can drop off your locations. Also, he said there's another location to drop off items at Loretta's Country Kitchen on Money Mill Road near McEver Road. So I'm so glad that Lee's dad is able to help out with Steve, and a great organization. I'm glad to call Steve brother from that standpoint of what they're doing. And I'm concerned about, really, we talked about adversity before. We talked about, everything from what's going on there at Appalachia to the people who've been affected by the hurricane. And it's okay, you try to get back into some normalcy, as Coach Niblet talked about, Lee, but you wonder how this is going to affect a lot of young kids playing high school football.
Yes, this is tough. This has been a tough year. I talked to the Bethlehem Christian coach last night, and we talked about just the normalcies. It really hasn't been normalcy because of them, especially Bethlehem. They had to miss a week because they're right there near Appalachia.
Yep.
And then you have all the hurricane stuff, so it messes things up. And then the chemical plant that and it didn't really affect us that bad, but at Bethlehem, the guys were like, Coach, we couldn't even go outside because you couldn't see. It was so foggy.
Wow.
And so the normalcy, it hasn't been there yet. So for the kids that are able to play, to try to come from all of that to change your schedule, it's different. And the guys that's been affected by the hurricanes, I can only imagine, especially the seniors who's having to wait and don't know when they will have the opportunity to try to get back on the field and how they're trying to do things. My heart goes out to them because I know that has to be tough, especially during your senior year.
Well, you heard about Coach Nibbles on his way to Rome to see Shorter play Valdosta State. Valdosta State, they're affected down in South Georgia. It went right through the Valdosta area, and those players are right now, they've been staying at empty dorms at Georgia State, practicing at Georgia Tech, getting ready for a football game today.
Yes, sir. That's tough. That's because it changes you when you have home games, and now you have to travel just to go play your game, especially with college football. So I know that has to be tough.
So you as a coach, how do you really look at that, and how can you deal with your players?
Yes, it's tough. It's just constant communication, but it's life. It's life lessons about adversity. Adversity is going to strike, and it's all about how you handle it. Like I always tell my guys, there's two things you can control. That's your attitude and your effort. And so, what's your outlook? Is the glass half full, half empty? And so, it's trying to talk to you guys, constantly stay in communication with them, to understand that this is life. Life's going to happen. It's going to be bumps and bruises, but you have to respond. How are you going to respond to these situations that's out of your control?
All right, so how do you respond when you've got a lineman? You get some young linemen, too, that are facing somebody much bigger than them on the other line of scrimmage because they're they're older, maybe they're junior or senior, you got a freshman or a sophomore on your line. And how you do, some things you can't control size.
And we went through that last night. I got two at a defense end and a tackle that's learning football. They're freshmen that had to go play last night. And it's trying to continue to build confidence, like understand you just got to compete. If you're going to get whooped, it's okay. You got to compete, though. As long as I see the competitive fire, I can work with that. Don't just give up because they're big. You have to always compete, and we try to build the confidence. Go have fun. It's still football. Sometimes it's hard to have fun when you're getting beat up on. Yes. However, is continue to not chew them out when we know it's a mismatch. Is build the confidence and let them know that they can do it.
All right, where's the difference between competition and effort? Because you talk about how much different last night's game was with Bethlehem compared to last year.
This group had more fire. My group this year has more fire. They have more grit. They fight at practice. It starts at practice. The competition level at practice when guys are going with each other, fighting and competing.
So guys, say something for Friday, though,
I'm glad we do it during the week because, like I always tell those guys, I don't want our first time hitting to be on Friday.
Right.
So during the week, we compete during the week. And it showed Friday. Last night we competed. It was one of those matches that some guys are gonna be a little sore today, but it was beautiful to go watch our guys compete at that level.
All right, what happened in the GIAA last night? I know that Loganville Christian was a winner over Riverside. How about the rest of the teams?
You know what? I was so in the fog about ours and our mistakes, so I didn't get to watch. I didn't pay attention.
I didn't know George Walton played last night or not.
I think they may have. I'm not 100%
We'll
sure.
find out score later on. But again, next week you got Kings Academy. Where are they located?
So they're located somewhere in Marietta, but I know they play their games at KO High School.
Okay.
So we'll be going to KO High School.
All right. Then back in 2 weeks at home against Athens Christian.
Yes.
And so they're former GHSA school also from that standpoint.
Yes,
so
sir.
We'll see how that game works out. And that'll be what your senior night you're going to have there?
Well, you know what? We got fortunate. I forgot to change on the schedule. So Loganville Christian actually asked me early in the year to come to our place. So we'll have 2 home games.
Okay,
so
cool.
actually Athens Christian will be our homecoming that got washed away from Riverside. So we'll do our little homecoming court on Athens Christian in 2 weeks.
Very good. So then you'll have the last 2 games at home. Then you'll have Loganville to end up things on the 25th then?
Yes, sir.
All right, then you'll have the first off. So how you going to deal with the week off?
We got to prepare, figure out where we're going, and logisticals if we're not top 4 or where we have to travel to, because although all our teams in AAA, that's one of the other problems. Albany, Valdosta,
yeah, they're a long way away.
It's a long way away. Westfield, which is in Perry. Perry is the closest one.
Oh,
so,
my goodness.
everything else is a 3-4 hour drive.
Wow.
So it's trying to prepare and get our guys ready for that situation if we do have to travel.
All right. So if you're at home, I can tell you right now, if you're at home, we're going to try to do our best to broadcast at the playoff game on the 8th. Okay, I'll go ahead and say that much right now. So we'll cross our fingers, cross our heart from that standpoint, and go from there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ready for breakfast?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to wrap things up here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Thanks to Lee Coleman for joining us this morning here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show. We'll wrap things up coming up next.
Thank you, North Hall. This is Chris Kinsey with Millie's Drapery and Decorating, and we would like to thank the North Hall community for their continued support. Since 1968, my family has provided the area with beautiful custom drapery, bedding, upholstery, blinds, shades, and more. If you would like some help with your interior design project, give us a call and we'll schedule one of our talented designers to give you an in-home consultation and estimate for your project. Call us at 770-532-3819.
Across the world, mosquitoes come.
At Jackson EMC, innovation is an ongoing cycle, a process without a beginning or an end, where one idea leads to the next. Solar power, electric vehicle program, energy-efficient right choice homes, automated switch technology. What we do as an industry is vital. We keep communities powered, so we must always have an eye on the future. Jackson EMC. Innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
Give me an L, give me an O, give me an N.
Hope Bunch, the voice of Longstreet Cafe, what you doing?
I'm putting our cheer together for our tailgate season. Whether you're taking our home-cooked favorites to the game or eating with us afterwards, we've got something for everyone.
So what can I do to help?
Glad you asked, Mary. I need you to take care of our mascots.
No, wait.
Thanks, Mary, and they'll need to stay at Cheer House, too.
She did it to me again.
Longstreet Cafe with 2 Gainesville locations.
On-time service and experience matter for your home's heating and air system. For more than 40 years, Conditioned Air Systems has been North Georgia's solution for residential HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair. Family owned and operated, we deliver the highest quality service on any brand and model with no hidden fees, promising 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Comfort you can feel, quality you can trust. Visit conditionedairsystems.com to schedule an appointment.
Time to wrap things up on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Gloria FM. Thanks again to Lee Coleman joining us here on this Saturday morning. No college football for you today here on 97.5 Gloria FM because Georgia State has the weekend off. They return to play next Saturday, 3:30 kick. The Panther pregame show begins at 3 o'clock from Center Park Credit Union Stadium in Atlanta as they take on the Monarchs of Old Dominion. Then they hit the road for the next month after next Saturday's game. They've got a schedule. First half of the season basically at home, second half of the season basically on the road. Now today, Georgia goes up against Auburn in the oldest standing rivalry in the Southeast. Over 100 times these two teams have played. They'll play it at Dewey Field there at Sanford Stadium. And also today, Georgia Tech in the ACC. They're taking on undefeated Duke in a big ball game for the Yellow Jackets today. And, of course, we'll bring you all the details on Monday morning here on 97.5 Glory FM. Recapping high school football action from last night. We'll give you the winners and losers from last night. Last night it was Cherokee Bluff over West Hall. We'll go to the region. 8 AAA scores first. Cherokee Bluff over West Hall. It was Monroe area falling to Jefferson with the Dragons winning last night on the road down at the pit. It was Oconee County defeating East Hall in 6 AAA play. Just one game last night. Dawson County blanking Johnson. Other games around the area, it was Gainesville, a winner over Seconder in their region. Milton, they defeated Lanier. Roswell was a winner over Johns Creek in that region. Also from last night, it was Commerce, a winner over Raven County. Athens Academy defeated Bates County. It was East Jackson over Franklin County. Also from last night, it was Jackson County, a winner over Appalachia. It was Beaufort with a big second half. They defeat Collins Hill from last night. And coming up next week here on 97.5 Glory FM, it is Greater Atlanta Christian as they'll go up against North Hall and Friday Night Football in North Georgia. It all begins at 7:05 on Friday night with the Long Street Cafe pregame show. Then at 7:30, it's the kickoff of high school football with Joe Gailey, Gary Glenn, Harper LaBelle, and I from the Brickyard at Lincoln Trail Stadium here on 97.5 Glory FM.
97.5 Glory FM is WGTJ.